Welcome back once again to our online Bible study. We're looking at a subject tonight entitled Recognizing the Presence of God in the Times of Trouble. So let's start by reading Psalm 94, verse 18 and 19. Then we'll go on to Joshua chapter 1, verse 5. Psalm 94 says, "When I said my foot is slipping, your love, O Lord, supported me. When anxiety was great within me, your consolation brought joy to my soul." And when you come down to Joshua chapter 1 verse 5, it says, "No one will be able to stand against you all the days of your life. As I was with Moses, so shall I be with you. I will neither leave you nor forsake you." One thing is certain in the walk of a believer, and that one thing that we're certain of is the one thing we sometimes find ourselves doubting: the presence of God. So many times people have looked to the heavens and cried out in their time of trouble, "Where are you, God? Now I need you." Our heart tells us that he is near. Our experience and our faith speak to us about the presence of God being immovable and unshakable. But we are people of feelings and emotions, and they seem to run hot and cold. We sometimes sense a dark hollow of experience, an emptiness that overwhelms us. If God is ever present, why do we ever feel those moments of emptiness? And it's all about faith. In Hebrews 11, a famous verse, of course, we read this: "Now faith is being sure of what we hope for and certain of what we do not see." The most popular version of that is, "Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things unseen." You see, faith plays a huge part in what we experience with God, because circumstances don't always coalesce with that. They don't always come together and make sense. If God is ever present, if God never leaves us, why do I feel bereft? But we are, as I say, people of emotions and feelings. In the first two scriptures that we just looked at, you can see the heart of God towards those who follow him. His promise, "I will never leave you nor forsake you," stands true through all time and eternity. It's a retrospective reference from the psalmist. "There was a time in my past when my foot was slipping and sliding. I was losing grip, but your love, O Lord, supported me." The consolation of that, the joy of that, is that God was always there underneath. So let's look at the slipping foot. So we looked at the psalmist reference to that, and as I said, it's retrospective. There was a time when he felt he was losing the grip that we all want to feel secure in our footing, so to speak. But I want you to focus not on the slipping foot, but the experience that he comes back and testifies to, that your love, O Lord, supported me. And it's interesting that he references that it's the love of God. He didn't say it was the hand of God or the strength of God. He uses the word, "It's the love of God that supported me." And when you or I sense an overwhelming feeling of losing hold or losing grip on something, or even losing a grip on the presence of God, our situation seeming to overwhelm us and rob us of some long-held beliefs and trusts. And that does happen. I'm not saying someone can't come forward and say, "Well, I've never had that experience," and I would rejoice with them over that. But there are some of us who throughout our walk with God have wondered, "I wonder where God is now in this." And we can't seem to see our way through. It is that moment that I want to address and say, his presence is experienced by a knowledge of his unfailing love. Now, love for us can be transient. Some people will testify that somebody once loved them and they said they no longer love them. We may have very bad and sad experiences of that. But you cannot put God alongside those and liken him as the same. His love never fails. Paul addresses the love of God in a beautiful way in 1 Corinthians 13. Very, very familiar. But in the context of what we're looking at this evening, it might just galvanize what we understand about the love of God. Let me quote these for you. Love is patient, love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It is not rude. It is not self-seeking. It's not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrong. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices in the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails. And you cannot equate that just to human love. This love that Paul talks about is born in God. It is the love of God. I want to take you to Jeremiah 31 and verses 3 through 6. Just remember the Corinthian one. Love never fails. It says, the Lord appeared to us in the past, saying, I have loved you with an everlasting love. I have drawn you with loving kindness. I will build you up again, and you will be rebuilt. Again, you will take up your tambourines and go out to dance with joy. Again, you will plant vineyards on the hills of Samaria, and the farmers will plant them and enjoy the fruit. You see, when we are overwhelmed with the circumstances that seem to crash in on us, we need to remember the everlasting love of God. And the word is interesting. The word everlasting. It actually means the vanishing point. Now, that might not mean something to many, but to an artist or anyone who has tried to do some drawing, you understand that you need, for perspective, a vanishing point. I've got something I want to, it's a bit of a rough illustration here, but bear with me a moment. I'll try my best to illustrate that. So here we go. If I put a point of reference here, okay, you can't see it very well, it's just a little black dot. And if I draw now a line here and a line here, what we have at the point is the vanishing point, better perceived that way, as if you were looking down a railway track or a long straight road. And you look to the end and the lines seem to converge. In drawing, of course, you have to make some kind of reference to that. And we might see it like this. And that then is perspective. And that point there at the far end is the vanishing point. Now, the vanishing point, when you get to it, if you're traveling that long road or that railway track, you don't get to a point. It just keeps disappearing in front of you or expanding in front of you, telling you that it never ends. That's the message in everlasting love of God. You will never get to the end of it. You will never exhaust it. God, being eternal, will always be there. You cannot run to the end of God. So that everlasting love is a strong statement. And I just want to encourage you to remember that his love never fails. The closer you get to the vanishing point, as I mentioned, it just continues on. And that's a big thing to remember. So what we're speaking about here is eternity. Eternity is far more than just a long time. Eternity is a bit of a mystery, to be honest, because it goes outside of our concept and experience. something that never ends, but it's not a long time. If eternity was a long time, we might get a little bit frightened of it, but it is the ever presence of God, without change and without any sense of loss. All the gains have been made and there are no losses. There is no limit to God, because God can't be measured. Being eternal and everlasting, God is the everlasting God. So there is this lovely perspective here that he is always. He is. The statement you make about God is, he is. That's why Jesus can say, I am. So I want to encourage you that if you are going or have been through or fear going through any period of time when you sense that God is far away, let me remind you that he has not moved. He has not changed. He has not altered in any way. His love has not changed towards you. His care for you is as constant as ever. Even though you may be going through or will go through at some time or have been through in the past, times when you have wondered where God's presence is, I absolutely reassure you that he never left you and he never will. To try and grasp that truth, that God will never leave us or forsake us and speaks to us in the terms of eternity, we have to understand this in relation to who he is. You see, simply put, God is. God wasn't. God will be one day. God is. So he's neither been nor will be. He just is. Our journey through time it passes day by day. It passes moment by moment, second by second, year after year. But God, well, he is. And his time is not passing. With that in mind, our moments of panic or uncertainty may feel that they are locked into a time scale. How long will this last? I can't take any more. When will this end? I almost slipped. I feel like I'm slipping. I'm afraid I might slip. All those things that we seem to come out with, they're genuine feelings. I would not criticize anyone who confessed to, I feel like I'm slipping. I'm afraid I might slip. What if I slip? What I would do, and what I am doing, is trying to encourage you that though we feel we may be slipping, he who holds us in the palm of his hands is secure and never changes. And in him you will not fall. He who never changes neither sleeps nor slumbers. It's Psalm 121. He neither sleeps nor slumbers. I'll read you that. I lift up my eyes to the hills. Where does my help come from? And that's a question mark in the scriptures. The answer, my help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. He will not let your foot slip. He who watches over you will not slumber. Indeed, he who watches over Israel will neither slumber nor sleep. We don't have a sleeping God. We have one who is ever present. The Lord watches over you. He is watching over you right now, whatever your circumstances may be. Whatever trial and temptation you may be facing, whatever hardship, difficulty, or heartbreak you may be going through, he watches over you. He's your shade against the searing sun of adversity. The sun will not harm you. The watchfulness of God will not let you. He will shelter you under his wings. He will keep you from harm. He will watch over your life. The Lord will forever be with you and never let you fall. Here's a little illustration, if you will, a little story of a man who was walking at night and he found himself precariously alongside what he appeared to be a cliff. And in the darkness of the night, he stumbles and he falls over the cliff. And as he's flailing his arms around in the dark, he feels a rope, and he grabs the rope and he hangs on tight. But he's in the dark. He doesn't know what to do. How long can he hold on? How far down will he fall? And he hears a cry. He cries out, "Help! Help!" And he hears a voice below him. "Let go of the rope." He holds tighter. "I can't," he cries. The voice comes back again. "Let go of the rope." "I can't. It's my only hope." "No, let go of the rope." But he won't. And with all of his strength, to the point where he's almost too weak to hold on, dawn comes. And as the morning sun comes over the horizon, he can see that he's only just 2 feet from the ground. Faith to the voice of the Almighty. Now, faith is not foolishness. Faith is not doing something silly and saying God will take care of it. It doesn't matter what I do. I can just abandon all security. That is not faith. Faith is knowing the voice of our Father. And if you don't know the voice of God, get to hear and learn the voice of God. I don't mean spurious words. I mean go to the scriptures, turn to the word, learn what God says in all circumstances. That illustration of the man holding the rope wouldn't hold true in every situation. Many people have done things by what they call faith, and it is more foolishness than faith. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things unseen. And so when you hold on to the word, hold on long. If you're holding on to your failure, let it go. If you're holding on to that big mistake that you made, let it go. His love will uphold you. The word here really that comes through is the word wisdom. To follow God with wisdom. Foolishness is not the same as faith, and faith is not the same as foolishness. It has been my sad experience to witness people who did something foolish in the name of faith. And against all advice, they continued to do what they said, "Oh, I'm doing this in faith." And everything around them seemed to cry out, "This is foolishness." And sadly, many foolish acts have been done in the name of faith, and that's a tragedy. Foolish actions usually are based on presumption. Never presume upon God. We can walk by faith, but we may think that it doesn't matter what we do when we walk by faith, and that is far from the truth. You can only walk by faith when you know the one who has called you to walk by faith. If you go ahead without God, you have no promise of God to go with you. Now, I said he will never leave you nor forsake you, but he won't. But if you continue to go on against all that is righteous and correct, then God will certainly chase you and call you, but he's not going to encourage you to continue on and say, well, your foolishness might be your downfall, but I'll be with you when you fall. He says, no, I want to bring you back to secure ground and lift you up. So we're called to seek him and hunger and thirst after righteousness. As the scripture says, you need to be panting for the waters, the water of life. You need to want that all the time. If you seek, you will find. God has made that promise. So if you're feeling unsure, if you feel that your foot is slipping in a circumstance, you're losing your grip, let me remind you again. When I said my foot is slipping, your love, O Lord, supported me. You just held me up. When I was full of anxiety, and it was great within me, your consolation, you consoled me. The consoling words of God brought joy to my soul. So be blessed, be encouraged. I hope that if anyone that's listening to this has been asking God, where are you? Let me reassure you, he has never left you nor forsaken you, and he will always be with you. But go to the word. Go to the scriptures. Read them through. Do not presume upon God, but trust that his everlasting love will always be there for you. Well, God bless you, and we'll come to another subject next week.